All right. Now, yesterday I was actually looking to do a video on takeaways of the Super Bowl and everything, and first and foremost, as nauseating as it is for me to say this, congratulations to Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and all them boys with the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid and all of them. Yeah, anyway, moving on. I'm going to offer my thoughts on that some point. I actually honestly thought that's what I was going to do here, but along the way, as I actually started going to the camera mode on this device, I was listening to a lot of stuff. I took a day off yesterday from watching anything remotely sports-wise. Was no ESPN, no NFL Network, none of that. Just basically did a lot of other stuff. And honestly, I'm not going to explain the reasoning behind all of that. That's just what it is. But going back into it this morning, I'm hearing a lot of stuff about quarterbacks in particular so far, at least as far as what I paid attention to. The two items of subject matter have been one, Lamar Jackson, and now, as of a few moments ago, Derek Carr. And I'm bringing this up largely because of the fact that there's a lot of talk about both quarterbacks potentially being in different scenes in the 2024 season, or the 2023 season, excuse me. Carr being obviously the far more likely of the two. And I say far more likely for a variety of reasons, really. If we're being honest, and I gotta say shout out to ESPN's Kimberly Martin. I mean, she put out the most on-point statement that you could ever have talking about this sort of thing. And what she said, well, I'm going to just paraphrase it a bit because I'm not going to go into word for word or anything. I don't have that in front of me. But just simply put, paraphrasing what she said, Lamar is going to stay with the Baltimore Ravens because there is no way. And I'm going to just add this in. This is from me personally. I am hoping for everything that is still good and right in this world that there is just no way whatsoever that the Baltimore Ravens organization is going to be this stupid. I'm sorry, I refuse to believe that. That just, every aspect of that is just disturbing to me. And I don't know if it's a prospect of just trying to imagine what that's going to be like, seeing that franchise having to rebuild from that. I mean, that's just not a pretty sight to think about whatsoever. But more than anything else, you know, just the optics of what you got in that wild card game when I forget who it was, but when they were interviewing Harbaugh at some point during the game, and he just came off as annoyed and agitated as you could possibly be. And quite frankly, I don't blame the guy. I really don't. If we're being honest, I'd probably have behaved the same way. I mean, it's just almost impossible to. You're immensely frustrated over the situation. Your guy is hurt. But more than that, you have the situation surrounding the whole thing where he was his own agent and he bet on himself, which I don't blame him for because others have been successful successful with that approach in the past. But so far, it's definitely come to a point to where the terrain is a little bit unbearable, if we're being honest, at least for most. But one thing I will say is that I honestly believe more than anything else that the Baltimore Ravens, there's no way they're not going to bring this dude back. There's no way they're not going to sign him. I don't know necessarily that he's going to get the kind of money Deshaun Watson gets, but the thing about it is that all he wanted was a fully guaranteed contract. Okay? I mean, I don't remember any point where numbers came into it at all whatsoever. I mean, we're out here with Russell Wilson, who is at about 185 million guaranteed out of, I think, 250 or somewhere in that neighborhood. I mean, is it that difficult to go 200 million guaranteed? I'm not saying that's a number that Lamar finds acceptable, but I mean, it's just really, really wild. I mean, it's one thing to have, again, going back to Derek Carr, the situation that you have with the Raiders. You bring in Josh McDaniels to try and turn things around with the franchise. And it's not that he's not capable of it. I know that I've not necessarily been the kindest of people when it comes to this dude. Honestly, I didn't even like him when he was here. I still don't like him. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But the purpose of him being there is to bring some aspect of the success that he saw in his days in New England. Now, whether or not that winds up being the case, well, all right, let's just call it what it is. There ain't a shot in hell of that happening. And we're absolutely seeing to that. I don't give a damn what he thinks he's putting together. He can bring in Aaron Rodgers. He could try to talk Tom Brady out of retirement, although I don't find that very likely. But who knows? I mean, it really doesn't matter. The Raiders I'm sorry, y'all ain't doing shit. And that's not even speaking as a Broncos fan. Y'all just ain't doing shit. But that aside, though, the fact that, you know, I think, reading the tea leaves wise, there was a really, really strong chance that we were going to see a lot of what we're seeing now with that situation. I mean, especially if the Raiders were unable to duplicate the success that they had from last year or the year before, which was getting into the playoffs. So that being the case, you know, it's hard to imagine that they wouldn't have went a different direction anyway, because you stuck by this dude for as long as you did, and you really don't have a whole lot to show for it, if we're being honest. I mean, and believe me, I understand an awful lot about that. Think about what we've been dealing with since 2015, and especially this dumpster fire of, I mean, not even going to touch that anymore. I'm going to just leave it all at that for the most part. But one thing that I will say about this is one way or another, I think there's a contrast in the two situations. Obviously, Carr's pretty much up out of Vegas. That's been evident for a long time now. But with Lamar, I mean, we're talking mistake of the century. Hands down. And it's just not even close. But you know what it is. Let me know what you guys think down below. Like, share, subscribe. I'll be back.